Right then. Now, this old Range Rover may be dirtier than your local priest's browsing history, but she's in a much better condition. Look at that interior. Now, this is either 1996 or 97. It's P-Reg, P38 Range Rover. So, one of the ones built in the first couple of years of production, and being a HSE, it's got every toy on it that you could get back then. Electric heated seats, a tape deck, EAS, which is definitely never caused anyone any trouble ever, full wood interior, and it's got the Captain Dan controls. We love to see it.
Well, you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
I gave him a promotion then, didn't I? Anyway, back to this stunner of a vehicle. I think this thing has got to be worth attempting to save. It's got buckets of history with it. It's obviously been looked after. And it'd make a hell of a little car for wafting about it in some 90s luxury, wouldn't it? I mean, well, we'll ignore the fact that it's got diagnostic equipment in the glove box. But just look at that folder of history. You're telling me someone hasn't cared about this thing. So, without further ado, let's see if we can get this thing to go. Right, so before we even try and start it, we'll check the basics. Got oil, it's a good start. I can get that back in oil. These things never ever to a head gasket, so definitely don't have to worry about that. Looking good so far. No oil in there, that's a very good sign. For some reason it's had new earths put on. Not like a P38 to have electrical gremlins. But yeah, definitely the most reliable V8 Land Rover ever fitted to. The most reliable of Range Rovers. But it does look like someone's took care of this thing. It's got a folder full of history with it. Everything looks right. It's had new shockers on it, decent tyres on it. We never know, we might get lucky. But got a nice new battery to go on. So we'll chuck that in and see if we've got any life. We might just get dead lucky with this. And if not, we've got a transplant engine there ready to go in. So let's get that hooked up and have a go. That was live. I think that was the car locking. Good job we took the key out. That was lucky. So we just give it a go. That easy. Who would have thought it? It's purring like an absolute kitten. Now, it's a bit disappointing really, because a will it start video ain't meant to be that easy, is it? Bit of a boring one. But anyway, just having a look around this car, see if we can fix some of its problems. So, unsurprisingly, we have a lot of lights on. ABS light, which is a worry, and the air suspension light, which ain't really a surprise. Can't have everything. The thing did start first turn of the key, which for a Range Rover, especially a P38, Jesus, I was not expecting that. Heating worked, lovely and warm in here. She hasn't overheated yet, which is amazing. None of that's lit up, which I think is a fault on the air suspension, because none of it is lighting. Well, that works. Cruise control works, but we've got nothing on the air suspension, and she's not jacking up. However, I don't even know if the air suspension's on this. I ought to really put my head underneath and see if it's got airbags on it. It could have been taken off and converted to coils. I don't know. If I end up keeping this for myself, that's probably the route I'd go down. It's got the usual very saggy headliner, but everything I've played with so far works. Well, that doesn't, ignore that. But the windows all work. What does that say then? God knows. The backwards, the same as Discovery's always were, in that these ones, which you'd think could do the back, do the front. On my Discovery when I had it, I swapped the plugs around on them. But this is just a lovely place to be. I think if we can sort out that ABS problem relatively cheaply, and this thing ain't rotten, I think we chuck a test on this and we run it for a bit. Especially with the old Lieutenant Dan mods. I think she's... listen to that. She does sound good. I ought to film that from the back for you and you get some of that V8 goodness. But I am seriously impressed with this thing. I think next job, not tonight, is to come back, get all the crates out from behind this thing, give it a wash off and assess it a little bit. Oh dear, we might have broken it. Oh no. It didn't seem to like being revved. It doesn't seem to want to idle now. Ah, there we go. It's just been a Range Rover for a bit. It definitely... Oh, that's flashing now. Does that mean it might blow up now? It's all going to work. Are we going to work? No. I think we can have a crawl underneath and see if there's still airbags on this thing. That'd be a good start. So, in the glove box, I found this. And this. So, I'm thinking previous owner might have had those faults and built this to solution for it. So, I believe this goes somewhere in the OBD port, wherever that may be. Under here. Ah, that was plugged into the... Why is something plugged into the... Ah. So someone's done that to make it easier to plug into the... It's an OBD extension, but that don't look great to me. That looks rather underwatery. But anyway, we'll plug this back in, plug that in and see if we can clear off the faults with the suspension. That should go under. I'll bring you back when I've done this. Right, so we've got a problem here. So we've put the ignition on, and plug this bad boy in. So we get the blue light that says it's communicating. Green, it was red a minute ago. Green flashing light means it's doing its thing. So we might just have, maybe, working air suspension soon. If it's that simple, I'm going for a beer to celebrate. If it's not that simple, I'm still going for a beer. It'll just be in commiseration rather than celebration. But we'll give that a minute to see if it does anything. But green flashing light. I forget what it says it. Green flashing light, fault codes found and successfully cleared. So, technically then, if we turn this off, it cannot be this easy. Turn that off, disconnect the kicker, and start it up again. There. We've still got faults. We ain't getting. She ain't pumping up. Bugger. Right, I think what I need to go and do here is speak to my good friend Marlon of the Doghouse podcast. You should listen to that if you haven't already. In fact, I will put a link to the Doghouse podcast in the description below. I've done 2 episodes with them now. Most fun I've ever had on a podcast, so check them boys out. I'm going to ring him up because he is a Land Rover genius. Find out what software I need to talk to this thing. Oh dear, I'll put that back. Bugger. We're not making this better. Speak to him, find out what software I need to plug into this so we can get to the bottom of the ABS fault and the EAS fault, because the kicker ain't working. It ain't kicking. So we will just do the basics now. We'll check all the fuses because it could be something simple. But yeah, give him a ring and see if he's got some help with this. So let's check the fuses first before we ring him and look like a tit. And yeah, then we can come back armed with what we need to get this thing running properly. Right, so all these fuses under here check out. I've tested all of those. Then, however, I have found a fuse box under here. I say Marlon told me it was here. And the 20 amp there, which I don't know what it does, but even though it looks okay, is testing as bad. So it looks fine, but it's not showing continuity. So these are spares, supposedly. That one looks alright. So let's shove that in and see if anything else comes to life. And also, according to this, next to that 10 amp there should be a 30 amp in there. So we're going to shove one in, seeing as we've got some here. I'm going to shove one of those in. You have to be very careful when you put in uninsulated pliers into a fuse board, especially the one that's right next to the BCM. There's no contactors in there, so that must have been for an optional extra. There's also this earth here, which is aftermarket, which isn't connected, but there is very obviously one there that's been pulled off. So more mysteries. We'll have to trace that wire back at some point and work out where that goes. But for now, let's see if we'll start it back up, because I'll put the windows up anyway before I go to the pub. So we'll see if anything else has started working now. Maybe. Might get lucky. Right. Cross your fingers with me. Should just start well. It's out! The EAS fault's out! Does that mean we might actually be able to raise this thing up now? Oh, the bonnet's up, so I bet it won't jack itself up with the bonnet open. Let me go and shut that quick. So, something now. So the raising light is off. We haven't got the 4 lights there. It should now be trying to raise itself. It's in access height, it knows that. It's trying to get up to normal height. So we've either got a leak in a bag somewhere, or the pump itself ain't kicking in. It's trying, because that's obviously making it try to select normal road height, and it can't get there for some reason. And my battery's about to die, and I need to go to the pub. So I think we're going to have to come back, because it's going dark now. I think we're going to have to go and do some investigations in the daylight and try and work out why this thing ain't raising up. We're not far off now. We've got rid of the fault. Between the kicker and replacing that fuse, and I swapped a relay under the bonnet, one of those has sorted this. So I think we're only a dodgy pipe or connection away from this thing working. I wonder if the headlights work. Ah! She's a babe. Anyway, I'm with some dinner. Have a good one. I'll see thee.